I'm Reverend Jeremiah Juma, and I'm a pastor. Apart from being a pastor, I'm the Tumaini community-based organization, which is Interfaith. We deal with intra and inter. Intra means like, for example, Christian and Christian, and Muslim and Muslim. But interfaith means both faiths come together. And this Jeremiah we're speaking now, I've been a facilitator for different organizations, big, small, local, international. And I want to thank God because through being facilitator introduced, because I saw the gap in our community. And I decided and I said that now I've been facilitating for different organizations, which in summary, there's one which was big. It was called East Africa Credible Voices, which actually opened my eyes because it took us to Uganda. It took us Uganda, Zanzibar, and then we came to Kenya also. I hosted them in Majengo. And when I speak of Majengo, I think you know what Majengo is. So we hosted them there from East Africa, Somalia. When I say East Africa, Somalia, people were there. We had people from Tanzania, mainland, and Zanzibar. We had from Uganda and Kenyans. And it happened that out of 58, we were only about 2 pastors only, because that is the uniqueness. Through there, we went for the program. Then I started seeing the gap between Christian and Muslim and interfaith, which has not been handled. Then I decided to start an organization called Tumaini, community-based organization, which is dealing with interfaith. Our purpose is just to prevent violent extremism, which has become now as a global. Then through there, what I did, through U.S. Embassy, they saw what I'm doing. They took me to a program called International of Serving Program, where I could go to U.S. and see how they are living, how they are coexisting, how the community there are living. Despite the fact people have come from different worlds. Then I decided, I said, now what I wanted to do, I wanted to start this one and see the gap which was there, how can it be bridged? So what I did, that is why now I have come together, called imams, pastors. Our program is dealing with the leaders. At least you must be serving in the church or the mosque or the temple or whatever. And also, it doesn't matter the capacity. Whether you are a youth leader, you must involve there. Either you are a Christian, Muslim, or other religions. When you are doing this, we wanted to see this claim to go. The main theme that we do is, who is your neighbor? Which is both in the Quran and in the Bible. So who is your neighbor? So the Christians will bring who is their neighbor. Muslim will bring what the Quran talk about the neighbor, what the Bible talk about the neighbor. Then we bring it together. Then we ask the question, if all these prophets have spoken about this, which is our part? Then we ask you now is individual question, what is your part in this? How are you going? Then, because these are the leaders, they deal in Sunday school, they deal with the youths. Now you are going to teach us how you are going to teach the children back to the madrasa and on the Sunday. You have to show us. After showing us, then we are going with you up to the madrasa or to the Sunday school. We are going to see you introduce us, you tell them these are pastors, and now we are working together as interfaith. We want to see what we are doing. Then you start teaching them who is their neighbor, how to live with their neighbors. The reason why are we choosing the neighbor? We have chosen the neighbor because that is where the problem is. You don't choose who is your neighbor, but you just find yourself living with somebody. How can you learn to live with that person? Then we tell them, Christians are our neighbor, church. Mosque is our neighbor. Buddhists are our neighbors. And other denominations are our neighbor. How do we live with them? We look for the best practices which bring humanity together. Those are the things we dwell with. That is what we do as Tumaini. And I thank God that now the religious leaders has owned it and is theirs. So that is what we do. I'm Reverend Jeremiah Juma, and I'm a pastor. I minister with Jesus Assembly's Church. But apart from that, I am the director of Tumaini, community-based organization, Interfaith. We deal with preventing violent extremism. And here we are. This is Majengo, where we are, and we are looking forward for this program to reach the whole world, because everybody is suffering through terrorism. Na hii ni Majengo.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Callie Bonanza. I am an elder at Jesus Assembly's Church in Majengo. That is one heart. The second heart, I'm a peace ambassador, and I'm a human rights defender. I'm also a paralegal with Kamkunji Community Justice Center, which is an outreach program of Kituo cha Sheria. Now, coming to your question or your concern as to how do I get involved into this Muslim-Christian interfaith. For the last 20 years, when I quit service from the government, I went into community work. And together with church organizations and my brothers and sisters in the Muslim community, we have had a challenge when it came to how do we bring our youths together, and particularly at the moment when the gene of radicalization and violent extremism got hold of this country. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that radicalization and violent extremism does not belong to the Muslims or the Christians. This is a process with procedures, with people who know what they are doing for their personal gains and interests. And for a long time, we as a people of Kamkunji, and particularly Pumwani, we lost quite a number of people, those who joined and went to Somalia, those who went to other places, those who are picked up by the government for one reason or another. If you went through a series of households in Pumwani, you will find a lot of hurting. So I and my pastor, Reverend Jeremiah Juma, through the center, the Mission Center for Transforming, we sat down and we said, we as a church, we hold a certain sector of the community. The community looks at us for direction. In most cases, when something wrong happens, you will hear people asking, kwani hakuna watu wa kanisa huko? Are there no religious persons in that area? Are there no men in that area? Are there no this and that? So we said, our docket is the church. What can we do? And God willing, and with God's wisdom and understanding, we reached out to our Muslim brothers and we said, look, one of the avenues that those who manipulate our youths to get involved into radicalization and violent extremism is through the church. When I say through the church, I mean through religion. At the moment, what is going, the current selling point is Islam. Whether that is true or not, it's neither here nor there. What I know is whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, the God that we pray, the God that we serve is a loving God. So we sat down and we said, okay, what could be the problem? Because you cannot prescribe for a disease or an ailment you don't know. And there are a number of things that came out very clearly. One, that we as Christian religious leaders do not talk with our brothers, the imams, the sheikhs, the madrasa. So it is already, that is a division. And we know that imams, when they have their services in the mosques, people listen to what they are saying. The pastors, the reverends, the evangelists, when they are preaching in church, people listen to them. So we said no, we must begin with ourselves. Tuanze na sisi kwanza. Tujuane, let our religious religious leaders know who Christian leaders are. Let Christian leaders know who Muslim leaders are. Once we do that, we would have broken the ice. It would then be easier for us to move. And when we did that, we said, okay, we have had Christian youths being manipulated. We've had Islamic youths being manipulated with religion. We are religious people. That is our docket. What can we do about it? So we said, what could be the problem in our teachings? What could be the problem in our contacts? What could be the problem, the way we behave? And we realized that part of the problem, after thorough analysis of all those pros and cons, were that, one, we have some religious leaders who don't know about religion. They don't know the doctrine of religion, because religion has a doctrine. And anything out of that doctrine, that is yours. That is one. Two, that there are those who use certain specific verses, either in the Quran or in the Bible, to suit their interests. And beyond that, there are those who would preach even teachings contrary to what religion says. And believe me, so in a nutshell, what we agreed on was, what is it that is in the Bible? What is it that is in the Quran that those who adhere to Islam and those who adhere to Christianity can agree on? Is there anything in the Quran, is there anything in the Bible that both religions agree on? So we agreed, let us start with that. And why we agreed on that is that if we agree that it is good to have good morals, Islam says so, Christianity says so, can we amplify that? So that can we amplify the teachings in Christianity and the teachings in the Quran that bring us together, other than those that may seem to set us apart? Can we propagate the measures in Christianity and in Islam that bring us together, rather than measuring on the minors that may seem again to divide us? This is what brought about the birth of Quran Bible Interfaith Community Dialogue. And the thing we are asking, we began by asking something very simple. Who is your neighbor? And surprisingly, to many of us, there is so much about your neighbor in Islam, just as much as there is so much about your neighbor in Christianity. So we are asking, why can't we be gospel preachers of these good deeds and preachings and texts, both in the Quran and in the Bible? We still have a long way to go. This is just a beginning, but I must say that for the first time, we have pastors and reverends and bishops over 40, 50, 60 years. Some of them had never had a chance to step into a mosque. They are our brothers, imams and sheikhs. They had never had an opportunity to step into a church. Why? If you are seen getting into a church, it's like you are being converted. If you are seen going into a mosque, then you are being converted. And you create war. But the purpose, and these I want to be very clear, the purpose of Quran, Bible, interfaith community dialogue is not to convert. It is to shed light on the commons in the Bible and in the Quran. Things that we can build on, so that it is very unfortunate that you can lose your child because either he was given the wrong preaching, he was given half preaching, or he was deliberately hoodwinked and brainwashed to imagine there is no religion that is better than the other. You do your religion, but do your religion knowing that give space to your neighbor. So long as you do your religion and you give your neighbor his space, I don't mind what you call your religion, but what I know is that God the Creator, if there is anybody who says there is God, because if you don't know who God is, then you cannot talk about God. And that is the way we would like to go. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm speaking from Majengo, Tumaini, Kamkunji constituency of Nairobi City County. Nimekuwa nikiongea kutoka Majengo, Tumaini, Kamkunji sub county, Nairobi City County. Asante kwa hiyo nafasi. Hapa ni Majengo.